Hey guys, this is Scott. The time has come for me to begin restoring my Philco Holiday set. Been looking forward to doing this one for a while. I've had this set for probably a year now. It's just been in the line waiting for restoration. So that day has come, January 31st, 2016. So this set's in really good shape. I did a video earlier called Predicta, and this set was included in that video where I went through and tested the picture tube and just took a basic look at it. And we know the tube in here, picture tube in here, is in great shape. So now I'm starting to take the set apart, remove the back screws off, and I'm getting ready to take the back off. Just wanted to point out a couple things about the set. It was modified for use with the 21 FDP4. That was pretty common for these larger 20 or 21 inch, I think it's 21 inch diagonal tubes that these Predictas were using, and their first shot at it, the tubes were not very good at all. So it's very common to see this happen. There was a slight modification made for the filament of this CRT, and we'll look at that as we get into it, but pretty common. The other thing that was very common is for the on-off switches on these sets to go out, and it's very common to see this type of modification on a Predicta where you simply turn the set on with this switch. They've made an adjustment inside on the chassis and bypassed the normal front on-off switch and just simply put on a different switch, and that's pretty common. So we'll have to deal with that. I'm thinking I can remove that and take it back to original, as I have another on-off. This also serves as volume and contrast control. So this tests well. It is, let's see, it's part number 33-5592-34, and I know you can't see that 4 on there, but that's the part number. The only thing about that was, and I was looking at the service information, and if you look at the parts list right here, you can see it calls for a 33-559242, and mine's a 34. And of course, it's a 3-part switch. The C part is the switch. The B part is I believe that's volume, and then the 1 meg part is the contrast control. If you go over here, it says contrast, see note 1. Note 1 says runs 1 through 6 use a 2 meg contrast and a 2.5 volume. So the volume stays the same, but on runs 1 through 6 they used a 2 meg contrast. So when I tested this, I thought, well, you know, you expect it to drift a little bit, but it, you know, I think it was testing at like 2.5 or 2.6 meg, which wouldn't be that bad on a 2 meg pot, but a 1 meg, that's pretty high. So what I'm going to need to do is find out, if I can, taking this apart, what the run is on this set, and I'm not sure of that. I can't see it, but hopefully I will when I get the chassis out. You can see here's that modification with the on-off switch. and it should go out through the front of the set. So anyway, disassembly of this is pretty straightforward. Got a couple of bolts here. Obviously I'll be clipping this off. I'll need to undo this antenna lead, this twin lead. It'll just simply go out through the back of that panel there, and that way I can leave the antenna inside and intact. And then I think you've got to disconnect the high voltage lead from the high voltage cage. Obviously remove the CRT with one screw here. There's a plug that plugs in right back here that connects the yoke and the CRT to the chassis. And then there is, I don't know if you can see that or not, right there is where the speaker connects to the chassis. Disconnect that, and then this chassis should just remove the knobs and stuff from the front, and then this chassis should just slide out. So I'm going to go ahead and get that accomplished, and after I get it out and get it situated here on the bench, we'll take a closer look. Okay guys, got the chassis out of the cabinet and have the cabinet set aside here. Did have a couple of cracks down here that had to use some wood glue on, but nothing major. It was just from splitting of where the screws go into the cabinet. But you can see down in there it's actually in pretty good shape. That speaker looks really good, and it's not as dirty as I thought it was going to be, and looks in pretty good shape. And then of course have the CRT here set aside, and we'll return to that as soon as we're ready to do some testing on the chassis. But yeah, this is chassis looks in good shape. A little bit dirty, but don't see any rust on it. Little spot of rust right there, nothing that can't be easily taken care of. That's not rust, that appears to be from the cabinet. There's the tuner. And then of course the infamous sweep circuit board. And was able to manage to get all the tubes out, and I think some of these sockets look to be in actually pretty decent shape. I think it's this one right here though. No, it's not that one. This one right here. Yeah, and you can see on that one it's cracked and broke, and that is not going to that's not going to work, so that's going to have to be replaced. So I think what I'm going to do, since I have two of these chassis to do, I'm just going to go ahead and order enough tube socket replacements to do 2 sets. So, and horizontal output tube, and it looks like my plate cap is stuck in here. And then of course, very surprised and very pleasantly surprised to look inside this high voltage cage. It is really clean in there, and it looks to me that that flyback coating is in pretty good shape, and probably not a lot of hours on this set. Here's the wires that were used to bypass the switch. And they put that switch in the back, thereby bypassing this switch right here, the on-off. then this is volume, and then this is contrast. So I think the back part of that switch is where the on-off plunger resides, and I think that was very prone to failure. Like I said earlier, you see a lot of Predictas that had that modification. So, but yeah, other than some cleaning, and obviously we will be removing this board for a complete redo. Of course, I'll take all the tubes out, check them, and make sure that they're in good shape. And the ones that I don't have that I need, I'll order them up. And I think I pretty much have all the other parts that I need, at least for the circuit board. Alright, let's flip it over and look at the other side. Okay, here guys is a look at the underside. And like just about every Predicta I've ever seen, or any video of anybody I've ever seen restoring one, there's obvious signs of replaced parts. I'm not sure if that's replaced or not. It could be a replacement, but this definitely is here. This is I think a main filter cap. This one happens to be Atom. Oh, it's a spray. Okay. And it's 140 microfarad at 300 volts. This is a big 4-section can. Not sure if that's a replacement or not. It's awful shiny. Still looks to be a lot of original caps in here though. Underneath of the high voltage rectifier tube is pretty nasty. Have to get that cleaned up. Big old resistor there. A lot of black beauties in these. And of course, here's the filament dropping resistor. I think that's what that is. It's the old sand resistor, power resistor. Have to be yanking that out. This is that thermistor here. A lot of times you see these blown up when these sets fail, but that one appears to be in pretty good shape. So yeah, a lot of caps to change, and there's actually quite a few resistors in this bottom section too to check and make sure. There's like some kind of couplet there. Not sure what that does. I'll have to refer to the schematic. And of course the circuit board has these infamous couplets, or K-networks as Philco called them, on these particular boards that can be very problematic and a lot of times have to be rebuilt. So I'm sure I'm going to have to deal with that, because especially this one here, I think it's the vertical integrator. They almost are always bad in these sets. So I will plan to have parts on hand to replace those if I need to. And the tough part about it is you really have to make a decision. Well, you don't have to, but it's best to make a decision whether you're going to replace it or not, really the first time you have the board out, because you don't, or at least I don't want to be unhooking this, taking it out, doing some work on it, then putting it back in, seeing if it works, pulling it back out. I want to try to minimize that, and want to try to just take it out all at once and shotgun everything in here that I think needs to be replaced. and then hope that I did my work correct. Here's another electrolytic cap that's accessible from the underside that I'm sure this will need to be changed. It looks original. Looks like a fusible resistor there. I'm not sure. Looks like somebody modified that. I think it uses a 4.6 ohm. No, I'm sorry, 5.6 ohm fusible resistor. And it just so happens I have one of those. This is a TV first aid kit that I got off of eBay for like 10 or 12 bucks. And what grabbed my attention was these fusible resistors. Now these are obviously old stock, new old stock, but they've been sealed up, so I'm hoping to get those out, get one of those out and test it, and hopefully it tests fine, and I could use that right here. So, you know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you know, you can always create your own fusible resistor. But I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. Caught my eye on eBay. It's just fuses and fusible resistors, and they called it the TV first aid kit. And it had a free knife. How about that? Okay, anyway, well, I've got to order a few parts, most notably the tube sockets. I gotta check and make sure that I have all the electrolytics that I need. And then I'll probably start right in underneath the chassis, changing out components and the electrolytics, and then get to the look at the Philco Holiday Predicta that I'm getting ready to take on. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next video.